The late-night silence of Judge Michael Thompson's study was shattered by the chilling words echoing from his headphones. "Thompson, gotta go. No witnesses." The grainy audio, a wiretap recording from the city's ongoing organized crime investigation, sent a shiver down his spine. A hit list. His name mentioned with a casualness that spoke volumes about the ruthlessness of those involved. Sal Moretti. Thick with unspoken threats and watchful eyes. Now, it seemed, those threats had materialized into something far more sinister. He thought of his family, his wife asleep upstairs, his children living their lives blissfully unaware of the danger their father faced. A wave of nausea washed over him. Could he put them at risk? Could he turn a blind eye, pretend he hadn't heard the threat? The answer came instantly, a resounding no. He'd spent his life upholding the law, defending justice. He wouldn't crumble now. The weight verdict, but fear wouldn't deter him. Justice. He would face them head on, armed with the gavel and the unwavering belief in the law. The next morning, the courtroom buzzed with anticipation. Judge Thompson, his face betraying no hint of the turmoil raging within, took his seat. He looked across at Moretti, a smirk playing on the mob boss's lips, his cold, reptilian eyes locked onto the judge. In that instant, Judge Thompson knew he wasn't dealing with petty criminals, but a deeply entrenched criminal enterprise that considered itself above the law. The evidence against Moretti was overwhelming. Racketeering, extortion, murder. The prosecution had presented a meticulous case, piecing together years of criminal activity. The defense, predictably, had been weak, relying more on intimidation than actual legal defense. Judge Thompson listened intently, his resolve hardening with Sal Moretti wasn't just a mob boss. He was a cancer on the city, his reach extending far beyond the seedy underbelly. He had judges and politicians in his pocket, their silence bought with fear or favors. Moretti's empire was built on a foundation of violence and intimidation. He controlled everything from the docks to the casinos, his grip on the city tightening like a noose. The trial had exposed the brutal reality of Moretti's operations. Witnesses, some of whom had turned state's evidence.
What? I'm just sleeping after a hard night's foraging.
Families threatened, and rivals disappearing without a trace. The jury listened, their faces grim, their eyes reflecting the fear that Moretti instilled in everyone who crossed his path. Judge Thompson knew that a guilty verdict, while necessary, wouldn't dismantle Moretti's empire overnight. It would send shockwaves through the criminal underworld, yes, but it would also make him his life and the lives of his family hung precariously in the balance. Section 4, a city under siege. The tension in the city was palpable. News of the hit list had leaked, sending shockwaves through the city. The police were on high alert, their presence a constant reminder of the invisible threat lurking beneath the surface. The city, once vibrant and alive, now seemed to hold its breath, waiting, fearing what might come next. Judge Thompson had been assigned a security detail, their faces stoic. The necessity, the very real danger that lurked in the shadows. He'd met with the chief of police, a gruff, seasoned officer who had spent years battling organized crime. The chief had offered reassurances, promises of increased security, but his words rang hollow in the face of such a pervasive threat. The enemy they were dealing with was like a hydra. Cutting off one head only led to two more taking its place. Section 5. The price of integrity. His steps measured and calm. He looked out at the packed courtroom, at the jurors, their faces filled the courtroom. Moretti, his face contorted in rage, slammed his fists on the table, his eyes burning with hatred. The courtroom erupted. Thompson felt a strange sense of calm. He had done his duty, upheld the law. He had stared down evil and emerged victorious. But deep down, long. His Judge Thompson's car, a fiery inferno, a mangled wreck on the outskirts of the city. The bomb, detonated remotely, had been powerful, leaving no doubt as to the intent. Justice, it seemed, had paid the ultimate price. The city mourned. Flags flew at half-mast. Newspapers ran front-page stories, their headlines screaming of the tragedy, the senseless loss. The man who had dedicated his life to upholding the law, to ensuring justice for all, had become a martyr. His death served as a stark reminder of the human cost of justice, the risks faced by those who dared to stand up to evil. But it also ignited a fire, a collective outrage that refused to be silenced. The fight for justice, Judge Thompson's legacy, would continue.